Hello, everyone. My name is Waleed, and I want to welcome you back to my channel. And I want to thank you for taking a little bit of your time to spend some time with me. I always appreciate that. So, as you guys know, I do own a couple of homes in the Caribbean. I own a couple of homes in St. Lucia. I own a couple of homes. I own one home in Jamaica. And I always love bringing you um, travel related content. I love to react to travel related videos that pertain to St. Lucia or Jamaica. And I also love telling you personal stories. And today, I want to tell you a personal story, an experience that I had in St. Lucia. So, in St. Lucia, my beautiful property, I manage it myself, pretty much. And there was a point in time when I met this woman. Um, I won't tell you her full name, but her first name was Nakia. And Nakia was apparently a real estate agent, and she was also a property manager. And I initially met her because she was interested in my property because she had some clients that were coming into St. Lucia from somewhere, from from I don't remember if they were coming from another island or if they were coming from the U.S. But she had some clients that were coming in, and she thought about my place. She found my place, and and the thing that I do is, if realtors or anyone finds me a client that stays at my place, I would give them a 10% commission. So that's how we initially met. Uh, it didn't take her long to start offering me her services as um, a property manager, and I told her no. I'm sorry. I'm not interested in having anyone manage my property. I pretty much manage my property on my own. I always have people on hand. I have someone that handles the garden, someone that handles the pool. I have housekeeping. I have people on standby that handle the air conditioning, the plumbing, the electrical, any problems that could arise. I have someone on standby that can handle it. I can pay all my bills online from anywhere in the world, so I don't really need to have a property manager. And she was offering her services as a property manager in exchange for 25%. Was it 25%? No, I think it was 40% of all of the earnings that my property uh, brought in. And I was like, oh, hell no, that's just no. Mm-mm. No, no. Actually, it was 25%. Yes, it was 25% of all of the earnings that the property brought in. She would. That's what she was requesting, and I was like, And she apparently had a lot of clients from what she was telling me, but I just wasn't interested in that. And there was something about her that just didn't sit quite well with me. She was very intelligent. She was very well spoken. She was very pleasant. She seemed very professional, but she seemed a little bit too thirsty, and she just kept pressing the issue too much for me. There were other occasions when I did allow her to uh, arrange for some cleaning for me, like a deep cleaning. And even in those situations, I never gave her full access to my property. As a property manager, she wanted full access to the property. Full all of the codes to the smart locks, easy access to all of the villas, easy access to everything, and I was not going to do that. When I did allow her to arrange for like a deep cleaning service for her to be done at my place, when she arrived or when the vendors would arrive, I would open the villa that was going to be cleaned for her from my smartphone. I would be in New York somewhere, and I would open up the villa for her. I didn't give her the code to let herself in or to let the vendors in. The service would be done. After the service was done, I would lock the place up, and that's how I dealt with that. I'm going to fast forward to when my trusted instincts were proven right. There came a point in time when she had a client. I think this particular client, maybe a family of 10 to 12 people were coming to St. Lucia from Trinidad. So for me to book that or reserve that the dates that they wanted, they had to leave at least a 50% deposit. The villa that they rented was the biggest villa that I have, the 3-bedroom. The 3-bedroom, no, yes, the 3 bedrooms, I'm sorry, 4 bedrooms, 3-bathroom villa, which is the duplex. They rented that typically rents for 400 US per night. They rented it for like about 10 nights, so that's about $4,000. They had to put a 50% deposit. That was $2,000. And my policy is, if you reserve the space by making a deposit, before you can actually check in, you would have to pay the balance before you could actually check into the villa that you're renting. So maybe a day or two before their time to actually check in, I get a call from Nakia. And she says, Waleed, listen, I do understand that the guests, the clients, have to make the full payment before they can actually check in. But I want to ask you, to allow them to check in. They ran into a problem, and they won't be able to make the final payment until after they've arrived. So so she says to me, please allow them to check in on my behalf. I'm speaking on their behalf. I'll make sure that you get paid and this, that, and the other. Please allow them to. So based on that, I made an exception, and I said, okay, after they get checked in, they're going to be there for quite a few days. They can make the payment after they've checked in. So I went against my own policy, and I allowed them to come and check in. One of the problems with this whole scenario, and one of the problems that it hadn't really been much of a problem before this, because it always worked out. I never had any contact with Nakia's clients. I never had a phone number or email address. She was just communicating with her clients on one end, and she was communicating with me on the other end, and me and the clients never had any contact with each other. And I should have never allowed that, because any other times that I have bookings, whether I book it on my own or whether I book through booking.com or Airbnb, I always have a means of communicating directly with the guest. In this case, with Nakia, I didn't have any means of communicating with the guest. So when I came to realize that there was a problem, Unknown to Nakia, I had planned a trip to St. Lucia right around it just so happened the same day that the guests were checking in. I had already made arrangements to be in St. Lucia, so I came to St. Lucia, and I stayed in one of my other villas that wasn't booked. I stayed in one of my villas that was the cabin. So when I arrived, and when I do travel, I don't tell anybody when I'm coming. I don't tell anybody when I'm leaving. I just show up, and everybody's surprised. Oh, hey, Wally, you're here. Whether it's my gardener or the pool, whoever it is, they don't know when I'm coming. They don't know when I'm leaving. And Nikia had no idea that I was coming to St. Lucia. So when I got to St. Lucia and I got to my home, I got myself settled in, and then I realized that the guest had already checked in. So I said to myself, let me go and introduce myself to the guests, and and just to say hello and introduce myself and familiarize myself with them. So I did just that. I went over to the guest and I knocked on the door, and they answered, and then I was like, hey, I'm Waleed, I'm the owner. And they was like, oh, hey, how are you? And I was very, very nice people. And we chatted for a little bit, and I said, hey, about the payment, I know you guys made the deposit. I got your deposit. When do you guys think that you're gonna make the? Now that you're here, when are you guys planning to pay the balance, the other $2,000? And that's when I knew shit was fucked up, because they were like, "What? We paid in full." And I was like, "What do you mean you paid in full? I only got half of the payment." They said, "Yeah, we sent you the half, and and the other half we sent to the realtor. She insisted that we send it to her." I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And she was like, "Of course I'm serious. We paid in full, and." And she was like, "I can show you the receipt that where you got your payment, and I can show you my receipts where I sent it to the realtor." I said, "Really?" So then it all came to me that Nakia was planning to screw me over. She called me and asked me to allow the guest to stay there without having made the payment, and she insisted that I would get the payment after they've checked in. Come to find out, she already collected the payment and didn't say shit to me. So I get on the phone and I called her, and I'm like, "Hey, Nakia, how are you?" And she said, "Hey, Wally, how are you? How is everything?" I said, "Everything is not going too good, Nakia." I said, "I'm here in St. Lucia." She said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yes." And I talked to the fucking guest, and they tell me that they made the fucking payment with you. And then this bitch had the nerve to say, "Oh my God, I made a blunder." I said, "Bitch, what fucking blunder? You didn't make any fucking blunder. You collected my fucking money and you didn't tell me anything about it. What were you planning to do?" So I think that bitch was planning to let the guest stay, and while I'm in New York and I don't even know what's going on, and then she probably would have come up with some excuse that the guest didn't arrive, whatever. She was planning to keep that money. I said, "Bitch, why the fuck are you collecting my goddamn money? You collected my money very intentionally. It wasn't a fucking blunder. And I'm going to tell you right now that if I don't get my fucking money back, I'm going to have your fucking ass locked up." And she got so scared because one of the things at my property in St. Lucia, my property is very popular, not only for the villas and for the travelers and the tourists, but the locals love my property because the locals tend to rent my garden. My garden has a pool, it has an outdoor bar, it has outdoor bathrooms, two bathrooms, it has an outdoor shower, it has a barbecue pit, it has plenty of space. So a lot of the locals rent my outdoor space for parties. I've had graduation parties, birthday parties, anniversary parties. The only type of party that I haven't had is a wedding. I've had corporate parties, and one particular set of uh, people who rent my space quite often is law enforcement. There has been a lot of police jurisdictions who have rented my place, so I've become very familiar with a lot of law enforcement, and I have become, pretty good friends with a lot of law enforcement. She's very aware of that because another thing that she did as a side hustle is catering, and she ended up catering a couple of events at my party, at my place. Different parties hired her to do their catering, and she did catering for a lot of the police department events. So she knows that I know the police. And so she was like, "Oh my God, please, I'll do everything that I can to get the money back to you. I'm a mother. I have a daughter that I'm raising by myself." I said, "Bitch, when you took my money, you didn't know that you were a mother. You know that you're a mother now that I'm confronting you, bitch." I said, "You did not expect me to be here in St. Lucia, and if I wasn't here and I didn't have a conversation with with these guests in person, you would have screwed me over. So you better have my money. I'm giving you a certain amount of time, and you better get my goddamn money because I will have your ass locked up." So she said, "Please give me some time. By this might have been like on a Sunday." She said, "On Tuesday, I'll give you $1,000 back, and just give me some time to." I said, Get some money in my hand. I need some money in my hand. It should have never been in your hand." So that Tuesday, she got me $1,000 US. She came and delivered it to me, and then over the next couple of days, I don't know what she did or how she got the rest of the money, but she got the rest of the money. And after that, I never dealt with her again. But that wasn't the end of the story, because later on she hit the local news, the newspapers, the news channels profiled her, and apparently she was really screwing over tons of Airbnb owners and tons of homeowners who were foreign, for homeowners that were from abroad who she was doing the property management for. A lot of these were foreign owners like myself, but they just they trusted in her, and she was renting out renting their accommodations and collecting the money, and they had no clue about it. In some cases, she was overbooking the guests, and two or three guests would show up, and some of the guests had no place to stay, yet she collected money from them. It was a whole big mess, and they said to owners, Airbnb operators, do not trust this woman. Do not do business with this woman. If you have any dealings with her, you should leave her alone. She is a scam artist. And it was really good that I did not totally trust this woman and just turn over access to my property to her and give her full access to my property and trust her to do any property management for me, because she would have been uh, booking my place without me knowing it. And that was some of the problems that was happening too, because uh, uh, a lot of the owners started to realize that their place was being booked, because they were doing their own business legitimately and booking their places, and when their guests showed up, there were people there, and they would be like, the guests would call the owners like, hey, we showed up to check in and there's someone there already. And they were like, how can that, we didn't book anything. Our calendar is cleared. And they were coming to find out that this Nakia was booked their place and collected the money, and didn't tell them anything about it. So it was a really big thing. And I tell this story to say that, any kind of business, you have to be careful who you do business with and who you entrust your sensitive business with, because there's a lot of people out here, and they can seem like the most trustworthy person. They could be the most well spoken, and they could be the most well-spoken person, and they can have the most professional kind of appearance, but they can be a snake in the grass, and that was certainly what this situation was. So that's the end of that story. I just wanted to share that personal story that I had in St. Lucia. So I want to thank you guys once again for taking a little bit of your time to spend some time with me. I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope you learned something from it as well. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Take care.